Michael, so that was, I think it just set the bar very high then, because Samantha Fox had come, Bryan Adams had come, but no...
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi, yeah, no doubt, all great artists. But I think Michael Jackson's sort of hold on the whole world was just bigger than anybody else's. He wasn't a rocker. He was just like a universal musician.
I think till date, I would say he's the ultimate entertainer. You know, you cannot even... And I'm telling you, Cyrus, when you meet him, when we met him, right? And then you see the same person on stage. It's absolutely... It's just two different...
He's very polite, right?
Very polite.
And he's quite tall, right? He's
quite tall.
We don't have an idea of how tall he actually is.
No, he's quite tall and extremely intelligent. And of course, after we came back, of course, then from there we called up our friends in India and said, listen, we've got everything done. Contracts done. This is done. We called up Raj Thackeray, we told Balasaheb and everything, because naturally we were worried about that. And then we decided, how do we get the show together now, right? And that's when we went to Bharat Bhai and told him, listen, we need to bring
the biggest show you've ever had.
Yeah. And he instantly supported it, right? And I remember we were dealing with Michael Jackson's security, production people here.
All the equipment. I mean, it must be more than anything
else.
ever.
So I'll tell you the story. So first of all, they came down here and we were trying to educate the police force, right?
Yeah.
Right? What is the Michael Jackson concert? Because what they came up with, they said, no, Michael's coming, right? And
they just done Falguni Pathak, which was not quite the same spectacle. And then moving on to Michael. Millions of,
so
huge speakers and
So the idea was that the cop said, listen, we have to create, thousands people like barricades, like how you do in politician rallies. So I said, you can't do that. It has to be open, right? And you create different barriers, right? But it's open to watching the show. And there was big issues we had. And ultimately, I remember Gopinath Munde to be the Home Minister.
Right, yeah.
And then I told Raj, listen, why don't you sit him down, let him see the show, right? Then ultimately he saw the show and understood.
See the show means?
Because they wanted to make blocks of 1,000 and barricade them.
No, see the show as in see an old show.
No, see an old show to understand the crowd.
Oh, the magnitude
and the crowd.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
So after he saw it, then he understood.
But he never had anything like that before. From even in Indian concerts or nothing like that.
Yeah, nothing like that. But they were worried about, stampede and this and all that.
Rightly so.
Yeah. And then ultimately, but I have to tell you, everybody contributed to make the show a success. And I still remember when the production, the two Antonovs were landing, right? Which there was never an Antonov landed in Mumbai airport.
Right.
Now two are landing.
What is an Antonov? It's an aircraft.
It's an aircraft, which is the Russian aircraft, which is the largest aircraft in the world.
We are friends with Russia, so we have Antonovs.
And the largest.
And what is the other plane? There's an Antonov and an Uncle Nov.
There's an Air Force One also.
Sorry. We shouldn't do jokes. Right? Such a nice story.
So, suddenly we get a message that the ATC, Mumbai Airport, is not allowing the Antonovs to land.
Oh, it's private.
No.
Then what's the problem?
It was a cargo plane coming in, but because they never imagined such a heavy... They thought...
it was small, and it's much bigger.
It's much bigger. So they thought...
How did they not know, bro?
Because an Antonov had not landed in Mumbai ever.
And there was no Google, there was no way to check anything.
So they were worried that the Antonovs land, right? The runway will crack or something.
Seriously?
Yeah. So then ultimately we had to speak to people, spoke again to Raj. Raj called up and said, listen, they're circling, right? Then ultimately it landed. I tell you, when it landed, both the aircraft, it was you're in a museum. The entire, there were like 5,000 people on the tarmac watching the planes.
My God.
Right? It had about 40 feet, 40 containers that came out of those planes.
Some were Mexicans? No, sorry. Just asking. Because that was also a bad period in American immigration.
Anyway, the containers came, and I tell you, we learned a lot from how they kind of built. And we had roughly about 360 crew members.
Wow.
But what they did there, if somebody was just nailing the front of stage, they would only nail the front of stage. They would not do.
But that's the Western way, no? Everything is cut and dry.
Cut and dry.
You don't come in my space, I'm coming in your space.
But that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
they
we
divorce
learned,
so much, yeah.
and they put it up in like, I think in about something like 16 hours, they put it up.
Wow.
Right? And after the show, in some 7-8 hours, the show got over around about 11 o'clock. By 5:30,
They're dismantled.
it was already in the plane. 7 o'clock, they took off to the next venue. And that was the. That was the.
So what the ATC say? No, Antonov, fuck off.
But the fun was when Michael Jackson was landing. Right now, before Michael Jackson came, we had 11 court cases across India.
Wow.
Right, because
Superb.
it's-
Against the parampara and sensibility of India. What else can they do?
It was crazy, right? Somebody's filing us for merchandising rights. Somebody's filing us for that his passport's going to be impounded. Somebody's saying he's carrying $1 million, and it was.
But he's bringing it in. No? What's the problem?
Yeah. So it was. I tell you, it was unbelievable the amount of pressure we had, right? And if not for the.
But may I just say that since I was part of that and I remember that time very well, it ruled the media. It was a news print media, but it ruled the media. Front page, last page, everything was Michael Jackson for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
There was no other news. Just kicked. I mean, you'll remember, no? It was just such a big sort of moment in Indian entertainment.
It was. I think it redefined the fact that, and especially at the time when concerts were not even there. It was just kind of coming there, and then you bring Michael Jackson in. It was exciting. And I remember when we were at the airport, right, and we planned this whole Sonali, Raj, Bharat Bhai, everybody was outside, and we had planned this whole. Legim and this all the dancers outside.
Okay.
You can get the footage from there.
This is for his entry?
For his entry.
Yeah.
Now, when I was going on the aircraft, because naturally familiar face, so
Right.
I went with the customs and immigration guys on the plane. And I remember a friend of mine called Atul was the customs guy, and another guy I think was John. So I told both of them, listen, we're going on the plane. Please do not ask for a autograph or a photograph.
Yeah.
Right. At that time there was no,
autograph was king.
Yeah. And suddenly we went into the aircraft. First thing, they took out their small photograph and autograph. Right. They forgot about the immigration. So I said, listen, immigration karo yaar, inka.
But they asked him?
They asked him. Yeah, they asked
What did he do?
So he did it. And
After a long flight.
Naturally, the guys are in uniform, So those guys got their photographs and their autographs, right? And then they kind of stamped him. Coming out.
So all done privately.
All in the aircraft.
Michael Jackson doesn't stand in line like us.
And but I'll tell you who all stood in line later. And then we came out. After they did all the formalities, checking the aircraft and making sure he's not carrying $1 million and all. And we came out. I can't tell you. It was in the custom. There was people standing against the wall and people standing on top of them
To get a glimpse.
to get a glimpse of him. It was.
Did he do anything? Did he pirouette or one of his moves, moonwalk, anything?
Nothing. He was just so. He was overwhelmed with so many people in the customs.
And could he pick up the accent? Hey, Michael! Hey, Michael! Hey, Michael! Hey, Makal! All the different
well,
Indians. Destroying a name.
I know, everybody was screaming and everything. And then ultimately when we came out, Sonali and Raj and Bharat Bhai and all, they put a garland on him, and then the Legends thing started and all that. And then I remember he wanted a preview car which had an open on the top so he could stand up and wave. And nobody had that car except for Anil Ambani, right?
Oh, right.
So actually we had to borrow it from him for about...
But then Anil himself came with the car.
No.
I was thinking he'll only take an autograph, no? Good news, bad news.
So anyway, we got his car, and so Michael got.
It's like an open cavalcade thing.
Yeah. So then Michael sat in the car, and then we had this whole entourage of some 40 cars, right? Wow. And Michael's there with his camera
crew.
It's like
more than you do a head of state, huh?
It was. We had something like I think there must have been 15.
So now is my memory of the actual day of the event, because they're given a call time to meet outside gate number whatever with our camera and all that, to shoot the crowd and all that. And I took 2.5 hours from town to reach. There was traffic. It was madness. The last 4, 5, 6 kilometers was just absolute madness.
Absolutely.
Nothing moved.
I'll tell you. So we took off from the airport, right? And we were, of course, behind him. And suddenly, as he passed through the airport, he stopped the car
Why?
and got out of the car because when he was going through the road, he saw all the hutmens there.
Oh.
So he just got out of the car, Cyrus. Now, what has happened? Raj, everybody's in the front, right?
Right. And they've gone.
And they're gone. Security also.
So he's
is behind.
alone?
No, he's with his crew and all.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they took out a bag with some toys and all that, soft toys. And he went straight into the hutmen.
To give them toys.
Yeah, he went into the hutmen and he sat down there into one of the huts, into the room. And he started talking to them. Suddenly, the security, everybody is screaming, "Where is he gone? How can he do this? How can he break the route and everything?" You know.
So Michael Jackson, who charges $100 million for private recitals and all, was there with the slum dwellers, free.
Free, sitting down there for 10 minutes.
Marketing 101, you should have just told him it was for slum dwellers. Everything would have been cheaper.
So can you imagine?
So he sat there.
He sat there.
And then they knew who he was? Somebody would have known.
Somebody would have known.
Yeah.
And he gave them all the soft toys and came back.
Yeah.
And then we are all heading towards town, right? So suddenly heading towards town, suddenly Balasaheb called and said, "Why don't you bring him here?" Right? So we said, okay. So then suddenly the security was controlling everything. Next thing we are landed into Matoshree, right? Okay. And then you have one side Michael Jackson with his dark glasses, and you have Balasaheb with his dark glasses.
But he knew his pop culture.
Yeah. No. He was Balasaheb was sharp,
and stayed with the times. Not one of those guys.
He knew. And of course there was. In the room where he sits, and there were a lot of people there. I remember Bappi Lahiri was there, and all the Aditya was a kid that time, right? You know, and everybody, and they had a great conversation in talking, and then Balasaheb, of course, gave him a painting of a sketch of what he did, and gave him a nice big sword, and you know that whole like a Shivaji thing, and that's where the
legend.
Legend. Yeah, and that's where Michael Jackson wanted to go to the restroom.
Yeah, but that's true, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And that became headlines next day.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson uses Balasaheb's.
So it slightly spun the story that he had to go, he was desperate to go to the toilet, and so they went there. Something like that. But it's not exactly what happened.
No. Yeah. So he went there.
But he was very gracious with all these Indian celebrities.
No, he was very gracious. Yeah. He spent almost close to about 45 minutes there.
Yeah.
And of course, Balasaheb told him he should bring a lot of entertainment to India, and you know, whatever you need from India, the state, we'll, So Michael was very, very encouraged to see him. And then from there, he took photographs with the whole family. And then from there, we went to the Oberoi's. He was staying at the Oberoi's. And at the Oberoi's, there was a lot of people who wanted to meet him. Of course, Asha Bhosle and
all our greats.
He met with, and then, like I said, the first night was we had a small celebration in the poolside, right? And I still remember that there was a barricade because those guys were controlling it. And while Michael was talking, suddenly who pops in, jumps into him. Anupam Kher.
Oh, wow.
Suddenly the security went bizarre. Who is he? I said, relax. He's saying, I'm an actor. I'm a fan. I want a photograph. And
I thought he knew him. No?
He took a photograph.
So Anupam came like a fan to
he came. Yeah. He said, after he told me, I don't care. I got my photograph with. And actually, if you look at it, in about a month ago, actually, Anupam released it and said, this was
1996.
Yes. And he said, this was my fan moment when all the security guys didn't know who I was at that time. And he said at the Oberoi's.
Oh, what not? Oh, their security. Anupam Kher was famous in 96, Baba.
Yeah.
He was already known.
Yeah. He was
lots of
popular.
So who was the foreign security?
The foreign security.
They don't understand Indian culture.